Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JHR Backstage.
Hey, guys, welcome back.
It has been a lovely time since we've made our return.
Yes.
I'm very happy to see the show back up and running.
Yes.
And hopefully you are too. All of the, 3 listeners we have, I think.
And we love each and every one of you.
Exactly. So today's episode, we thought we would talk about our own music again.
Yes.
We've talked about it in the past briefly, and we've probably shared some of the anecdotes we'll inevitably share here too in time. But I thought the focus of this episode would be fun if we talked about the processes of making an album and what goes into it. So how do you decide what tracks are on it? How do you decide the title and the song titles and the album art and the everything that goes around it, music videos and stuff like that. Yeah.
Definitely.
So I let you start last time. I'm going to start this time.
No, go ahead, please.
So I've mentioned it before. I record music under the name DJ Witchcraft.
Yes.
As of the time of this recording, I have 4 full-length albums. Yeah.
4? Only 4?
Yeah, I only have 4 full lengths.
Oh.
And then I have an EP. Or 2 EPs. Sorry, 2 EPs and a single.
Okay.
So there have been quite a bit of releases, just only 4 mainline albums. It's Just What People Do, Drown It With Sound, Afraid of the Dark, and The View From Here.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, at this time I've had 4 full-length albums under DJ Witchcraft. But even before then, I used to write and record my own songs, even in elementary school. No instruments, just me singing.
Yep.
And through that, I think I had 13 albums or something of original music.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, I don't really remember. But let's just say I'm well versed in this whole topic at this point.
Safe to say, yeah.
When I hand the mic over to you,
Yes.
I probably am going to list them out in my head to see if that number is correct. I think it is.
Yeah, no problem.
I'd kind of want to know for myself.
Sure.
Anyway, but yeah, when it comes to DJ Witchcraft, I'll focus on that because that's my current project.
Yes.
The process that I do is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
In that I will make a song.
Yes.
I will decide that the song is ready. And then I will listen to it one more full time. And then whatever the first thing to pop in my head is as a song title becomes the title.
Right. Okay.
I don't give a second thought to it. I don't even think about it for any longer than the initial thought. I will listen to a full song and be like, all right, my first thought was Start It Up. All right, song's called Start It Up.
Okay.
And I've had a kind of similar process with the album titles too.
Right. Yeah.
In that the only one that I think was planned before anything was Just What People Do.
Yep.
Because I heard that phrase from someone. Someone said something along those lines, or maybe something we were being taught about in high school or whatever.
Maybe.
But the phrase,
maybe one of us said it.
Yeah, the phrase stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And I knew hands down that needed to be an album title.
Yeah.
And it's not fully the reason, but needing a place to put that album title is a big reason DJ Witchcraft started to begin with.
So you created DJ Witchcraft. I almost said Witchcraft to have a name attached to it. Is what you're saying?
I created DJ Witchcraft to make an album called Just What People Do because I believed in it so heavily as an album title that I needed to have an album to put it on.
Okay.
And at the time I had stopped my personal stuff that was under James Hurley.
Right.
So I was like, well, I could just start something new.
Yeah, yeah.
And the name DJ Witchcraft actually comes from a sketch we did in high school club. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's from that rap battle one that I don't actually think released.
No,
I think we all mutually
think
agreed we didn't ever want to see it again.
Yeah. No one wants to see that. And if you think you do, you don't.
Oh, you absolutely. It was. Not to go too far off in a tangent, but we just really didn't have anything to do, and we were missing half our people that week.
Nope, scripted.
Not scripted,
off completely.
The wall. Oh my god, that was so bad. Anyway, at least the name DJ Witchcraft came from that.
Yes,
but yeah, no, it's not the full reason. I was already thinking of doing an instrumental electronica thing, but I sped up the process so that I had an album that I could name Just What People Do.
Yes,
and
I mean it's a good name.
Yeah, and the thought process behind putting a song on the album or not is I generally go into each album thinking of a vibe I want to hold to it. So
sure.
Just What People Do was was like, I wanted it to be party. Party was the vibe.
Yeah.
So most of the songs are very upbeat, dance-like. Drown It With Sound was supposed to be more like experimental vibes. So like there's a whole lot of songs on that album that are really out there. Like I think it's called Sunrise Kingdom. I should probably know my own song titles, but at this point I made so many I can't even remember most of them.
I was gonna
and
say,
like I said, most of these song titles don't have anything to do with the song themselves.
Yeah.
They're just my first thought to name them something.
Sure.
So sometimes it's hard to not remember the big ones. Anyway, like that one uses like Chinese guitars or something along those lines in it.
Yeah.
Like, and then Afraid of the Dark was like a very moody album, and like a very dark album, especially compared to the other two. And then View From Here was like a melancholy.
Yeah.
Like it was one step up from Afraid of the Dark. It wasn't as moody as Afraid of the Dark. There was some bright moments, but it's melancholic.
it's there's a specific mood where it's like melancholic happiness.
Yeah.
Almost. Where it's
you're close. Yeah.
It's an idea of like you're not overjoyed, but you're content. So it's just kind of like you're existing and you're listening to this song, and the song may not be super happy, but it's calming to listen to, and you have this like almost the satisfaction of listening to it, and like you're content with it, but it might sound melancholy. Just to kind of explain what we're kind of talking about out loud.
But yeah, so I'll come up with a mood for each album, and then I will just start messing around with things. So we both use the same process to make music, just about
pretty much,
where we use pre-made loops and manipulate them and mess around with them and put them in different orders and stuff like that to make a beat, essentially.
Yeah, in GarageBand, for anyone who doesn't know, in GarageBand there are these like set loops that I guess Apple made or GarageBand made, whatever. They're called Apple loops. And it's just instruments playing a set of notes, and you can screw with them, and when you screw with them as much as you want to make it sound like, whatever you want it to sound like, and then you can release it. You're allowed to, by the way.
Yeah, it's completely royalty free.
Yes,
yeah,
it's royalty free. We looked into this. You're allowed to do it as long as you're not selling the loops by themselves.
Yeah, you're
fine. And so we made sure not to do that.
But yeah, so I'll start like with a bass loop, and I'll just mess around with some stuff, and then if the song starts sounding good, I'll hit record.
Yeah,
and make sure I like mark down what it is exactly, what mix of things I'm doing.
Yep.
And then when the song is done, I'll do my listen through, name it, and then if it fits the mood that I've decided this album's going to follow, it usually gets at least a tentative spot on the album. I usually open a document with each album where I just list out the 10, 12, however many tracks I want.
Yep.
And I'll like just list out the numbers 1 through 10, and then as I make songs, I'll shuffle them in the order that I want them to, depending on what vibe I decide I want to do. But yeah, so they'll get tentatively added to that list as one of the finished tracks. It's possible they get removed.
Yeah.
But for now, they're there. And then the songs that I decide don't fit on the vibe either get saved for a future thing. Like that's how Starlight Station happened, which is my one and only single song. Like, and that was originally for Afraid of the Dark.
Yep.
But then when the album was done, or when the song was done, I was like, no, this doesn't fit that like moody dark vibe I want for Afraid of the Dark. So but then I liked it so much that I was like, I can't get rid of this.
Right.
So I might as well just release it on its own.
Yep.
Because a lot of the other option is either they get saved for later or released on their own, like Starlight Station, or they get manipulated until they do fit the vibe.
Yep. Yep.
Like I will mess with them until they fit what I want. Or the third option that's only happened once, I think, with any song that I've ever done, they just completely get abandoned because I can't manage to make it work. There was a song that was on The View From Here all the way up until pretty much the album was done.
Oh.
And then I decided to cut it because I kept it on the album, like on the album track list, because I liked the idea of the song.
Yep.
I think you even listened to it. I think I showed it to you. I liked the idea of the song. It was called Mentalscapes.
That name doesn't sound familiar, but
I liked the vibe. I liked the general idea of the song. It was just not working. So like I spent weeks trying to get that thing to work. I tried every manipulation and FX thing I could do on GarageBand to make it sound like it could fit with the rest of this album.
Yep.
And then pretty much just right at the end, I was like, you know what? Nah. I was like, this isn't working. So it got removed from the track list, and I think it was, if memory, this was already a year or so ago.
Sure.
Hilltop Jazz took its spot.
Okay.
Which is the second track on the finished album, but it was Mentalscapes was supposed to be one of the last tracks when that was on the album. But then, like, I had 10 tracks, and then all of a sudden I didn't.
Yeah, right.
So another track needed to take its place, which is really ironic because Hilltop Jazz is the only song on The View From Here that I don't think fits well.
So you removed a song that didn't fit and replaced it with a song that didn't fit?
Yeah. it didn't fit, but I liked this song.
I mean, fair.
Yeah.
So did you just not like Dreamscape?
Mentalscapes.
Mentalscapes.
No, I just never liked it. I never liked the way that
okay.
it sounded. It never fit any vibes. Like,
It's not the vibe.
yeah, no matter what I tried to do to it. I think I deleted it at this point because I was like, I'm never going to go back to this. This is not going to get salvaged in any way.
Right.
But, yeah, it was on the album all the way up until the end.
Yeah.
And then nowadays, after The View From Here, I feel like I've pretty much reached a point where DJ Witchcraft isn't over necessarily, but I just don't know where to really go from here.
Mm-hmm. Can't see anything from The View From Here. Sorry.
I had an album idea tentatively titled Be There For It.
Uh-huh. That's cool. I like that.
I started working somewhat on and then just couldn't find an angle. Like, I hadn't come up with a vibe or like an idea for it yet.
Sure.
And I wanted, like, the only thing that I had really thought of was I wanted it to feel more hopeful than The View From Here. But then as I started to work on it, I was like, all right, I don't know where to go from here. So
Yep.
I just kind of abandoned it for now.
Mm-hmm.
It might come back in a different form, in a different album title.
Yep.
Who even knows? I briefly started work on a lyrical project
Mm-hmm.
called The Moonlight Apostle.
I remember you talking about that
Yeah.
one a lot. I think you sent me the concept.
I sent you the concept for the album art.
Yeah.
Which the album's tentatively titled Wounds. But I got maybe 3 or 4 tracks in. I never really fully finished any of them, but like they were at a point of
Sure.
of getting there.
Yeah.
And then I lost drive for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only other aspect that I haven't touched on yet is the album art, which I have the liberty of having the album artist across the bench from me here.
Yep.
Because I remember when Just What People Do, I think Just What People Do and Drown It With Sound were the only. Well, I had ideas for all 4 of them, but I just remember like Just What People Do for some reason had a very specific idea in my head.
Yeah. Just What People Do, you knew exactly what you wanted.
Yeah. The others, I had like an idea.
Yeah. And
but,
then you were just kind of like, figure it out. And I was like, all right. Which is, I work better when I have less guidelines. So.
The only one of the 4, well, I mean, you've done the album art for all of them, but.
Yep. And Witchmas.
Yeah. The only, and Power to the Players, which is.
And that one.
Is the only one. For some reason, I just keep forgetting that one exists. I feel bad because it's my music, obviously, but it was one of those things where it was like, such a quick side project, I almost forget that I did it.
It happens.
But even to the point where I made a graphic
Yep.
for my Instagram account of like listing out all the media that is under the Dueling Dragon Entertainment banner.
Sure.
And on the music graphic, I forgot to
About
add power
to the
I
Players.
forgot to add Power to the Players. So like all of the other DJ Witchcraft releases are on this graphic except for Power to the Players.
That sucks too, because that album art took me like the longest.
Well, so it's gotten it like in other posts it's been added and
Sure,
and
sure.
and it's got recognition. That is one of my favorite ones that you've done, other than The View From Here.
I love The View From
The View From Here's album
art.
cover is like one of my favorite
I
things
think
ever.
that is my favorite one.
The only one of the 4 main studio albums that the album art didn't come out the way that I had it in my head, but I still liked it.
Yeah.
Was Afraid of the Dark.
Yeah, that one I would probably do a little differently.
I had a specific idea in my head, but I didn't really know how to fully communicate it.
Yeah.
I remember the text I sent you. It was something along the lines of just Spellbot in a door.
Yeah.
And like that was all I had.
And like I could get it now.
Yeah.
But like at the time I was like, I'm gonna do some artsy.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what I if I didn't like what you gave me, I wouldn't have used it.
Right, which is
I
fair.
did end up liking what you gave me, but it wasn't what I had in my head.
Sure.
The idea that I had in my head originally was like it was like a bedroom,
Yeah.
or whatever, where like there was a door frame and then there was like Spellbot standing in the door frame with like a beam of light coming in from the window or whatever to show that he was like half illuminated, like a monster in the closet, kind of situation. That was the idea that I had. But what you gave me was like pretty good, especially looking at it with the other two albums that I was like, yeah, all right, this is good. Yeah, this fits. But like the process of doing the album art, I think is always one of the hardest things for me.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously you're the one physically making them, but
sure.
what I mean is like coming up with the ideas of them.
No, of course.
Like,
it's a lot easier for me to do it nowadays because when you had me start doing it,
you had like barely done anything like that.
Barely, yeah. So like it was a good introduction to it, and like nowadays I could create something fantastic.
Well, yeah. What's really funny is like the view from here. Like to think of it like Just What People Do took you a few days.
Yeah,
and then like view from here it was like 2 or 3 days. Not even a day.
It took me like a day.
It took you like a day, and then it's like ridiculously higher quality than Just What People Do. Not that there's anything wrong with Just What People Do as an album cover,
of course not.
But like there's so much more detail and stuff into the view from here.
Yeah,
that just is so good.
The speed of my art has become increasingly scary to my peers.
The only one that I think I wish we did more with was Merry Witchmas. Merry Witchmas's cover was so boring. And it isn't your fault. I literally had no ideas and I gave you no descriptions. Like,
no, it's fine. I remember I made one with like lights on it and stuff. And I remember I put you on it and then I removed you from it.
I still have those somewhere.
I was like, because I was like, I didn't really know what to, like now I would know what to do, but like before I was like, oh, man, I don't know. I guess this, because it's kind of like a smaller album and it fits with like the simplistic aesthetic of the others. So it was just kind of a weird spot for our album making, for the album making process for yours. Thank God we're over that, because now I can actually create something that is nice to look at.
Well, yeah, because I specifically remember Power to the Players. I had no ideas at all.
Yeah,
I just told you what it was and then let you run. And what you came up with was way better than anything I could have come up with.
That's how Victoria got made, too.
Pretty much,
You were just like, here's this idea. I don't know. And I was like, bam! And you were like, we got a show. Sorry, that's a completely different project. But if you haven't seen Victoria Journey Through the Stars, go to Dueling Dragon Entertainment.
Yep.
To go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. And then if you want to hear more of the behind the scenes, listen to our other pretty much failed at this point, but I'd like to come back to it at some point, podcast that's aside from BCAT called Bio Dragons. It's available on Anchor because...
we can do one today. We can talk about it later.
Yeah.
But finish listening to this and then go watch that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying album art.
So like, it's one of those things that like, especially Moonlight Apostle was completely different because I didn't have you doing the album artwork.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I had to have an idea and then execute it too.
It's hard, right?
and it's especially since I hadn't made an album art for myself since like 2015.
Yeah.
So if even earlier, I think it was 2015 because I think that's when Sound of Love came out, which was one of my last like major releases. My last couple major releases were very simple album art because I barely knew even how to use Photoshop at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, Moonlight Apostle was a lot different because it was one of the first times that I had to make my own album artwork in like 5 years.
Yeah.
So like having an idea and executing it too, I struggled so hard, which is why I sent you that concept one for your help, because I was like, help. Like,
help.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Like that, like even to get it where it was when I sent it to you was easily 2 hours worth of work beforehand of just messing with things and trying to figure out what I was even trying to do.
Right.
The original concept for this album, the album was called Highway to Eternity.
Yes.
That album art came to me instantly.
Yeah.
That one was super easy to execute. And then I just decided that it didn't reflect the songs I was writing anymore, so I changed the album title and had to come up with a new album art, and that one didn't come so easily.
Right.
But
do you know what I think we should do?
Yeah.
I think what we should do is that for the remainder of the time, we should do yours, and then we should do a part 2.
Okay.
And talk about mine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're already. Yeah, I don't want to just. I took up 20 minutes of this already, so
It's
yeah,
totally okay.
I don't want to. I don't want to. Yeah, we'll do that in a part 2 for yours.
Yes.
Maybe when we reconvene next week, or even it's early enough in this recording session, we might just be able to do a third one here.
Yeah, I have time. But anyway, so
yeah.
Do you want to talk about like your music career in terms of hiring others to make music for you, like me? Because we talked about Victoria.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to talk about
Victoria was one of the first times that I ever. Well, it was the second time. It was the second major time that I reached out, and I'll talk about the first one because I can see your confusion.
Yeah.
Which is really ironic to me because you were involved in it.
I probably was.
I mean, what are you not? Honestly,
yeah, my memory is since awful.
Since we started talking 6-something years ago.
Yep. Pretty much.
We've been involved in pretty much every single one of each other's projects. But anyway, it was the second major time that I had ever asked an artist to make music for me. Yep. And it was the first time that I was telling them to make music for something specific. Yep. And it was interesting, especially since I think they've recently changed their pronouns to they, them. It was he at the time. They knew so much more about actual music than me.
Yeah.
So like I knew enough to tell them what I basically wanted, but like they would ask me these questions and I would be like, yeah, sounds good. Like only having a vague understanding of what that even meant until they would send me the demos and I'd be like, okay, that's what you meant. Yeah, that works. Keep doing that.
Yep. That's how it is, man.
But yeah, it was super interesting being the music producer instead of being the one making the music themselves, like the artist being the producer instead. And I was very lucky to have worked with such an amazing artist. Yeah. Their name, by the way, is Static C. It's SATIKSEA. On YouTube and on Instagram. So they just released a brand new original EP of music that you should go listen to. It's absolutely fantastic. And I was very happy to see original music come out of them because I knew how good they did with the Victoria soundtrack.
Very good. Sam's House is a bop. Is a bop.
The Victoria soundtrack is available on SoundCloud actually through their account.
I don't know. Isn't it a different name?
It's Alex Tower, I think is the name. Yeah, but the easiest way that you can find it is
just
it's
search
linked.
Victoria Journey Through the Stars.
There's that,
too.
but it's also linked on my Instagram.
Oh, there you go.
Through the link tree in Dueling Dragons bio.
Is that dueling_dragon_end?
Yeah, you are correct.
Go find it, guys. We believe in you.
But yeah, Static C did an absolutely fantastic job with that, and it was a interesting idea because like I had been a manager before.
Yeah.
Well, what you could theoretically call a manager. I wasn't very good at it, but I was a manager before, and then being the producer was a way different experience. And I'm happy that it came out as good as it did, and I'm happy that I worked with such a talented artist that could make it happen with my lack of experience.
Yep.
But getting on to the other first time that you don't remember,
I can't seem to
was
remember.
Actually related to this show's JHR Jam Session. Do you remember that?
Oh, okay.
From 2020?
I didn't know. Okay, I thought you were talking about like I hired somebody to do it for a project like of movie or something.
Oh, no.
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Because for those of you who haven't listened to it. It's on our YouTube channel where you're probably also watching or listening to this as
probably,
well.
Yeah.
It's on the YouTube channel. It is also on SoundCloud through the Dragon's Cave Records account.
Yep.
Due to I won't say copyright.
I don't know, fair use, I guess.
Yeah, it's not on Spotify or anything like that. Yeah. I'm gonna maybe do that in the future. We'll see how things go.
Yeah.
The other thing that leads me to not put it on Spotify, just for a little bit of behind the scenes, I guess.
Yeah.
Is I promised all of you guys when you gave me your songs to put on this EP that there'd be no profit.
Right, exactly. Right.
Because I wasn't paying you, I wasn't going to get any money off of it either.
Right.
Putting it on Spotify subjects it to royalties and stuff like that, which I've been thinking of a few ways to get around that. I was thinking whatever royalties it gets could go to charity or something like that.
DistroKid allows you to
turn off royalties or something like that.
No,
maybe,
I mean like you can add us to the team for that album, and I think we can get royalties from it. The charity one's a really good idea, though. If you do the charity one, I think that would be even better. And it's funny you say that because I think like 70% of us uploaded the song to Spotify anyway.
You and Hero did.
Yeah.
I did make a note in the original agreement to be on it that it couldn't have been on any album. It needed to stay exclusive to JHR's. I know it is, but that's what I mean in terms of like I gave you guys the option to upload it, but it needed to stay as a single.
Sure.
I did actually
have Jam Session.
Yeah, and I had to have Jam Session in the name. The only one that's taken it down just because he's taken down all of his music is Greyhound. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm the last remnant of his music on the internet at the moment, and
what an honor.
Yeah, right.
Poor guy.
But that's a whole separate story for another day. But anyway,
we don't need to get into
Jam
that.
Session, if you don't know, was a collaborative EP where I asked a couple of the guests of the show to record an original song for an EP just for fun. The first couple of shows I ever went to at festivals always gave out like these demo CDs of like some songs from bands that were there or whatever.
Yeah.
And I liked that idea. So I was like, oh, let's do that for JHR.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was that. Unfortunately, only 3 songs made it onto the final EP.
Yeah.
There were, I think, 4 to 5 other artists that had said yes. Originally, but
there was a lot of playing.
I started the process of doing this EP at the end of 2019. So,
you guys will never believe what happened.
So I know specifically around. Like one of the artists was forced to move back home from where they were in college, and their stuff to record music was still back at the college.
I hope they got it back.
I'm sure they did by now.
Yeah.
They've since graduated, so I'd imagine that's been settled. A couple of the other people that had originally said yes just lockdown did a whole bunch to us and had lost motivation primarily of even trying to record a song for me. So in time, I'd like to do a volume 2 and actually include some of those people that couldn't be included to begin with. But that's something for probably pretty soon. Actually, I've been having some thoughts up in my head for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jam Session was an even more different experience than even producing the music because I was more of the curator. That's the right word for it. I was more of the curator, and like it was one of the first times that I had acted like a manager for my own project, if you will. Like I had to write out the terms. I had to write out the like the agreement forms and stuff, the contracts essentially. And it felt so weird because I knew all of you guys personally.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to be too assertive with what I was doing. Like I weighed back and forth on whether I wanted the song to be original or like just, hey, hand me a track that you like the most, which actually I've been thinking of doing another album that does that instead of like just give me your favorite song from anything you've released and it'll get compiled into like a greatest hits compilation or something. But anyway,
would be cool, yeah.
I was weighing back and forth on whether I wanted Jam Session to be original music or like music taken from the catalog or like your catalog or whatever. And then I decided on original music, but then I was like, is that too much to ask for people? Like, is it like, do I want to put them through that? Like,
sure, yeah.
And then there came the whole idea of like wanting it to stay exclusive because I was like, all right, am I asking too much then to like make it stay exclusive to JHR Jam Session and require it to be in the title of your release? Like, I just weighed so much back and forth of like, I don't want to be too assertive or pushy, but like I want it the way I want it. But then I'm friends with all of you and I wanted to maintain that friendship. Like
you got to like present all the rules up front.
Yeah.
And then if they don't want to do it,
which
I think
I did. I had an agreement written up already by the time I asked everybody around. I think I gauged interest and then wrote up agreements and then came back.
You were pretty straightforward with what you wanted to do. And I remember when you came to me with it, you were like, here's kind of the rules. And then if I had a question, I asked and I was like, I think I remember you saying, so no, I think you were prepared.
Yeah, I'd like to do it again now with all the experience I've had. And then if Jam Session Live, the live show that I've been talking about for 2 years now, ever does happen, I'd like to record maybe like a live album version of that or something along those lines.
That'd be cool.
on that note, JHR Jam Session Live is still happening. I know I mentioned it back in like episode, I think it was like 20 or something like that at the beginning of season 3. When we
maybe
or maybe it was the beginning of season 4, which would have been episode 20 or 29. But one of the episodes from a while ago, I mentioned it, and I have been working on it and tooling on it in the background.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like getting everyone together is just something that I don't have the focus and time to do at the very moment of trying to manage an entire concert event.
Yeah. No, it's a lot.
Is something
right now. Yeah.
So that was my musical journey. We're running out of time here, or we've already gone a little over time. So,
thank you for listening to part 1.
Yeah. Part 1 of our musical journeys, focusing on DJ Witchcraft and Moonlight Apostle and so on and so forth, JHR and Victoria.
Yeah.
Come back next week for Veras' side of the story with Ballad of the Snails and Sketched Out Orchestra.
Oh, God. I forgot about that.
And all of the rest of the random stuff he wants to talk about. Woo! So, peace out, guys. See you next week.
See you later.